put it out.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Red Wings Rant, where tirades and impassioned pleas for your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home. Mike, this is take two. I just ran through our whole intro. Oh, and I have Mike muted.
Hey!
Whoopsies.
Man, I'm the voice of the voiceless. What are you doing over here?
I was looking at our comments, and I was like, nobody's commenting. So then I looked up in the top right corner, and it said, would you like to go live now? I was like, yeah, I guess so.
Would you like to actually do the show?
Yeah.
We would.
Decoy, Mark Stone's farts smell like victory.
Oh, man. Well, I'm smelling a big Mark Stone fart because Fethar, my man, where you been? And I just mean that as a victory fart.
First of all, before we get too excited, Decoy. Mike, this is a callback. This is a major Red Wings Rant callback. Our farts smelling like victory. Decoy, you get an A+ for the day. You could. Well, I won't. I'll just stop there. You
can have
you get an A+ for the day. Yeah, I was gonna give you permission to say something wild, but don't. Chewy's aboard. What's going on, Chewy? And yeah, Mike, what's up, fellas? Been a while. What's going on, Fethar? Jared, broken sternum. Now, either was this the Mark Stone? Was this his injury? Because I know we heard about some broken foots and 2 dislocated shoulders.
Can I say, like, it always makes me laugh, like, what it takes to impress you, like, depending on the sport you're watching. So, like, in basketball, it's like, wow, that guy played with a sprained ankle. Wow, that must have been something. But hockey, it's like a broken sternum. It's like, I mean, his head was still intact, right? It's not that big a deal.
Oh, that was Tkachuk. Now, with Tkachuk, what I heard today from Elliot Friedman was that, what was the report? That they had to, like, put his pads on and get him dressed for the game. And the conversation online has kind of been like, maybe that's a sign, like, if you can't get dressed, you probably shouldn't be on the ice. Like, that might be where we want to draw the line. So he wasn't out there for game 5, but game 4, the boys had to hold him down as he was like, no, I'm not going out there. And they had to put his pads on and his. That would be hilarious.
He had to try to lead the men of Rohan. You know, they had to armor him up, and I thought it was pretty cool. And Dan B thinking we're at the Tigers game. You know, I do love me some Atlanta Braves. Let me tell you, Ronald Acuna Jr. Hell of a baseball player. Holy shit. But no, I did work today.
We're not at the Tigers game, but we are going to be at the draft party in a couple of weeks, 2 weeks from today. So we hope to see you guys all down there. Just wanted to throw out that reminder that we're gonna look out for y'all. I don't know.
The 3 outcomes. Will this crowd do a collective cheer, groan, or who is that? I don't know. Who is that? Do you know who's that guy? I don't know who that is.
Probably a majority, right, of the crowd will be like, oh, this is who we're, like, oh, we're drafting 9th. You know what I mean? Like, kind of like, oh, I thought, what are we doing here? There'll be another good chunk of the crowd that's like, beer. All right, yeah, it's also discounted today. How great is this?
Oh.
And then there'll be a small group of us. Of course, everybody on this in the comments section right now would be well aware of what's going on, and some of our podcast brethren, I think, we're meeting up. But yeah, it's I would wager that there's not going to be like a yay in the crowd unless, and we'll talk about it later, trade proposal that came up from The Athletic that I thought was kind of fun. I thought the question would be, how far are you willing to go to move up And of course, the other part of the question is, who do you absolutely have to move in front of if you are trading up? So I think there's only one name that you're thinking about trading up for, and I think there's only a couple teams you got to worry about moving ahead of. I don't know. Do I really need to tease it? Stick around for the whole
It's not Michkov?
Yeah, it's Michkov.
Hey, no. That's what happens when you read ahead in the slides.
Jared.
I'm just kidding. I never read the slides.
Smells like Red Wings. Hey, Chewy had his cataract surgery today. How does it? Is that painful? Is that like what's the aftermath of that?
Does that because that's improves the vision. Does that make you want to watch the show more or less now, Chewy? Like now you're going to be a podcast
guy. Jared thrown out there. Sherratt for a case of Gatorade straight up. Now, if you want to hear,
I feel like we got to throw in cash on that one too.
The Hockey Town draft party go absolutely insane. Yeah, this is it. This is that trade that comes in, and you see what do you think? Like 5,000 people?
No, that's the marks. So we're going wild for that trade. If we just move up in any capacity, that's going to be electric. Or if we get a name people have heard of.
I think it'll be electric is definitely a choice. I feel like there'll be a murmur. And then we'll kind of know what's going on if we see Steve move up. Like I'm basically calling out, and we're going to take a look at like Elite Prospects release their draft guide. I think a very common conversation that should be had after pick 2 is that you're going to land a pretty good guy. And I don't think you need to lose a lot of draft capital unless the draft interview that you had was just insane. And you're like, this guy's hockey sense he's going to fit right into the culture too. Like he's off the charts in hockey sense. He's going to fit with the culture. We see him motoring along on the ice. Like I got to get that motor on my team, because I think a lot of what you're going to get talent wise and like ceiling wise and what you're going to get timetable wise is pretty transferable amongst the rest of those prospects, or at least not easy enough to measure where you're like, for sure, this guy's like 1 year. And again, that's after the top 2 picks. So that being said, I don't think you want to lose too much unless you're going for one guy in particular. And then at that point, you're wondering, how much am I giving up? Am I giving up too much? Is it worth it to give up too much today for something that'll happen 3 years from now? And, there's a sports conversation there. So asset conversation, a marketing conversation to have there that I hope Steve has his ears open to. Yeah, you draft a Michkov. You're not selling jerseys, Mike, for 3 years. I'm just saying.
I don't think that. Yeah,
saying.
Nobody cares about that, man. Or let me redact that statement. Yzerman doesn't care about that. If he did, he would operate completely differently from how he does now. We might have made some moves a little bit like the Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights. Oh yeah. Some big swings, huh? Little Eichel move, huh? That was pretty sexy, huh? People were like, "Oh, you guys are bananas. His neck's broke," and then it was just like, "Nah, he just wants to fix it and play on a good team. Like he doesn't feel depressed about." So now he's a champ. And Matt, all I have is envy. I mean, the cup is nice, but I want to be that aggressive with our offseason.
Yeah, I'd love to get some sort of confirmation. Some doofus put out a tweet earlier today that Frank Seravalli was saying Steve Yzerman was going to be more aggressive this year. There's no confirmation on that. Nobody heard this except for this goofus who posted on Instagram and Twitter. But, we've been talking about it the last few weeks. Since Vegas made it into the Western Conference Finals, it's like, when do you start making these decisions to bring in the Matthew Tkachuk, which of course Tkachuk got hurt. That's the playoffs. But when do you bring in Jack Eichel? And it's like, oh, well, you got to wait till they're available. Okay. Yeah, they were available. And I don't remember seeing our names attached to that. And I'm pretty sure we could have thrown out a pretty tasty offer. And, I'd ask you right now, Mike, if you were throwing out like a few first round picks, Would you rather have a Jack Eichel in the hand or a Simon Edmondson and a Marco Casper in the bush right now?
I will say that this season is the first one where I want to start trading those first round picks. Listen, I made that claim when we were getting ready for the past trade deadline. Where it's like, at some point now that we're going to start, floundering in that 10 to 20 range is, where you rank in the NHL. Those first round picks kind of lose their value a little bit unless you're reading the the elite prospect player rankings where there's like 26 A's. Like, my God, how many excellent players can there possibly be in one draft? No, I mean, at some point, because you're going to start dropping off, because the value is going to start dropping off, that's when you can start acquiring win now players for your first rounders because they're just not going to pan out. And we can find a way to, build a third and fourth line. I'm going to keep hammering that point forever. And guys that you're picking in the mid to late first round, yes, I know that there's some, anomalies that are, all world players. I know. But most of the time, they're third and fourth liners. So if you can find a way to kind of cheat and get an Eichel, you do it. So, I don't know what that really means for this offseason, what kind of super duper stars available. But, yeah, I would want to start negotiating and, asking about those kind of moves. Because that's pretty cool right there. You got some new Stanley Cup champs, man. And it's such a tribute to the way they manage their team. I was incredibly jealous. Not just the Eichel trade. Somebody was, they were writing about Andre Fleury being such a key component to them, when they first started. And then they just kind of said, nah, we know what you're going to end up being, kind of how the trajectory of goalies usually pans out. So they were totally fine moving on from him. So, I mean, those kind of moves where you're okay letting go of guys that you, my God, is he a Vegas pillar? Like, nah, we'll figure it out. We'll get some real pillar guys in here. And then being aggressive for Eichel, who, had really terrifying injuries. They said, oh, boy, is he a head case? You can't trust him to be on your team because he just wants to get moved. No, he just didn't really want to play in Buffalo. So,
yep.
I mean, I'm very, very envious of the way they manage their team. And I know Steve is playing the long game. I know he's trying to clean up a minor league system that was pretty devoid of talent, right?
Yep.
But we got some guys now. And the point of this is not to just have a fleshed out minor league system. It's to win National Hockey League games. So if we can end up trading some of those guys for National Hockey League players who can score goals and, play some defense and maybe stop some pucks, that's what we're trying to accomplish so that we can see, Larkin and Elmer and probably Kosa at this point, next to a picture of the big silvery cup there. So, Yeah,
I think the point with the Knights, and we've talked about it now, this would be the third straight week, is just like, I want to know that Steve's in there. I want to know that it's not just like we're at the end of the season and Steve's like scratching his head and he's like, I mean, you're in conversations, you consider everything. And it's like, yeah, okay, great. I want to know that we are at the top of these conversations, like Elliot Friedman's talking about with Debrincat. I mean, there's when there's a guy that has talent, you gotta, you don't want your GM to ruin your team by going after the wrong guys. But when you have your guy, when you have your Eichel, when you have your Mark Stone, think about the trouble that Vegas put themselves into with picking up Pietrangelo, and then to add Eichel to that conversation, and then go, hey, we're also going to give you $10 million. And then the last couple of seasons, they're just like, hey, we have guys that are out for the whole season, and whoops, we didn't make it in the playoffs last year, but it worked out this year. I mean, it's like you make those aggressive moves. The aggressive behavior doesn't end after that one trade, but you start putting these teams together in these wild and crazy ways. These guys are still going to want to get paid market value for what they're going to bring to the team. And I'm excited to see what an aggressive Steve Yzerman looks like if we get one. And I'm excited to be excited about this season. But yeah, I know. I mean, we certainly don't have anything right now, but to just keep talking about like, oh, well, Elliot Friedman said we're number 1 on the Debrincat list. And that doesn't mean Stanley Cup, but it's definitely one of those moves. Like, all right, guy wants out from his crappy team and he's shown the ability to put 40 goals in the back of the net. Would you like a 40 goal scorer on your team?
Ooh.
Yes, please.
Ooh,
Thank you.
Yes, please. Give me one.
Now, real quick, we're going to, because we've talked about this would be the 3rd straight week and we're on minute 15 already and we haven't hit the comments in a little bit. Is this not the greatest championship picture of all time on the right here? That the Vegas Golden Knights organically made a heart up against the boards.
I didn't even see the heart. I just saw is that who's in the middle? Is that Stone? Just looking up. Going, yes.
That might be Marchessault.
Yeah, that's some real bonding right there. It also reminds me of that South Park bit where everybody's like, "All right, back in the pile."
Well, yeah, it's sort of Kessel's bald head that makes it like the pointy part of the heart. Like that's the best part. Like that's where you kind of I love his bald little head. I think it was Jared threw out there earlier. Am I the only one who forgot Phil Kessel was on the Knights?
Oh, I like to pull that one up too. I like Jared's comment. That was
funny. You know what? I couldn't have been more excited for Kessel to win another cup. I've been thinking about that since they made it to like the 2nd round, and you're kind of like, like the conversations start from like a guy like Down Goes Brown. And I know this is Kessel's 3rd cup, but Down Goes Brown starts to write those articles about who deserves the cup. I just, the way that Toronto like kicked him in the pants, like off the team and we're just like, peace. And then he went on to become now a 3-time Stanley Cup champion. And he's just going to eat his hot dog, loving tummy right through his jersey. I love that, like Phil Kessel is like all of us, And the other thing too, I've always heard he's kind of quiet and goofy in conversations. So I'm just like, wow, all right. Like kind of like how I feel. I'm sort of spectrum-y when I'm at work. So I love it. Yeah, Phil Kessel doesn't really know how to act in public, and neither do I. Podcast in my office. But anyway, I love Phil Kessel and I love that he got another cup. But yeah, what I do see in the comments is a lot of names getting thrown out there. Pierre-Luc Dubois, like Canis Cooper 19 thrown out there. Did that used to be like cannabis and you had to change your name Canis because of YouTube rules or something? But yeah, Canis thrown out there. Some of these trade scenarios for PLD are wildly ridiculous. Lots of folks willing to overpay for them. I'd rather push the chips in for Kyle Connor. Like that conversation.
Ooh.
I'll throw out there. I know this isn't what we wanted the episode to be about because we have some elite prospects draft guide to go over, but who cares?
No, real quick, I just wanted to throw out there because with Vegas,
yeah.
I know I'm really trumpeting the horn for Eichel, like a win now guy, right?
Right.
I just wanted to say that they did give up some dudes, right? Is it Alex? Matt, don't kill me on the pronunciation. Tuck?
Yeah.
Pretty damn good player. Peyton Krebs, still coming along. And then it was that they got another 1st round pick that turned into, where's this goofball at? There he is, Noah Oslin, who it's so recent, he's not going to be anything for a couple of years. But they gave up stuff. But I mean, it was
the
stuff I think
draft,
was
right?
worth it.
Oslin, yeah. That was one of the boys we talked about last year. That we were talking about. We were interested in drafting, so there's something there. There's a shot. There's some playmaking, but
I just want to say, like with that move, it's scary. It's scary, right? You're giving up young guys like, oh, what if they all turn into something? And you know what? 2 of the 3 might. But that's still a Stanley Cup you got out of it.
Tuck had such a did so well. I remember people talking about like, well, yeah, this is like a win-win on both sides, and it's obviously a win-win because you had Eichel saying, "Get me out of here," so you had to get something. But I do I do want to come back to like the PLD stuff. I would caution, like, that's not one I'm not kicking doors down for, because I think it was Lazarus from The Athletic on the Athletic Hockey Podcast said that this is this year's Kachuk. I do not see that at all. So I would pump the brakes hard on that one. And sorry if it wasn't Lazarus.
Wow. Let's go hit the endorsement.
Jared thrown out there, seriously, give me Hellebuck. Hellebuck, you've got to guarantee, like, every year. And when we've questioned whether or not Winnipeg has a strong enough defense, even with Morrissey in there, he's still turning in like another Vezina caliber season. So Hellebuck's interesting, but I would take a look at the Florida Panthers and how often Bobrovsky was just laid out to dry. And then you go, well, where's the money to upgrade over Mark Stahl? Like, Bobrovsky can't be angry out there. I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, poor Bob. And it's like, no, man, he's collecting that $10 million win or lose. First of all, he's fine because of that 10 million, but also this is all on him. Like, they've really got to make some cap adjustments to make Bob work. But anyway, I'm still not bought in on having, because eventually, right? Like, I'm not sure what Hellebuck's contract looks like right now, but eventually that thing is going to look like Bobrovsky, and some team's going to pay him Bobrovsky money, and I don't want it to be us. I never want to get stuck in a goalie issue thingy. I mean, look at Vegas, Aiden Hill. Like, it's such a roll of the dice on goalies. They're rolling out their fifth goaltender to win a Stanley Cup. And like your point earlier, Mike, like, Marc-Andre Fleury became like the face of the Golden Knights. And he should have been. He had a great season, right? And what are we, 2 years removed from him being a Vezina candidate? And then was it Minnesota and then Chicago, or Chicago then Minnesota? I don't know. But then he just, went downhill. But who cares about that? What mattered is that, Vegas is making his decisions about the skaters first, goaltenders second. And that's kind of where my head's at. Dan B, trade all of this year's and next year's picks for Debrincat and Erik Karlsson.
Woo!
Oh boy. Dan B, what are you drinking, man? Because I'm thirsty and I'd like a sip.
I will say, let me throw in some contrarian points here, because they are not wrong. Decoy thrown in picks 9 and 17 in the 15 draft were Timo Meier and Kyle Connor. Just saying. And you know what I did? Is I looked up a couple other drafts at the same draft spots. So just for example, 2013 number 9 was Bo Horvat, and then I don't know how you feel about Curtis Lazar. Not a super duper star, but not an unproductive player. And so I think that, Decoy, you're not wrong. There's some dudes, so you can still find it 9 and 17. And again, Matt found some pretty cool references here with elite prospects, saying that like 1 through, I think it was like 26 were projected to be really good players. It's just, man, like having a known commodity over a potential commodity, it's such a world of difference. If there was a way to get a real known commodity on this team instead of 2 maybes, like 4 to 5 years from now, oof, it's hard to say no to. But Decoy, I really like the points you're bringing up.
I'm looking for that elite prospects list here so we could have that available to us as well.
There's one more I had in here. Soap Dish reminding us that Eichel didn't earn his paycheck in the playoffs. He was maybe the 6th best player on his team. He's not why they won. No, he is not the only reason they won. He's not the main reason. He's not one of the top 5 reasons they won. But I feel like that management style, watching it pay off, it makes me feel justified in my asking of Yzerman, to be a little bit more aggressive. And I feel like that acquisition is like a case in point of what you can do with your team when you're not afraid to give up value for like future value for current value. But I think you're right on the money. So I just want to make sure I shouted you out, Soap Dish.
I mean, he led the team in points though over the regular season.
Sure. No, I mean he's not a perfect player, right?
Am I
But he's
crazy?
a very, 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 very good player.
Are we? Wait, which
Eichel.
player are we talking about? Eichel?
Eichel. We're talking about his playoff performance.
Scoring in the playoffs this year, 26 points, led all Vegas Golden Knights.
No. Can we count it before the finals?
Oh, this is the whole playoffs. Sorry.
No. I just thought, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cheating, but
why not the whole playoffs? Yeah, I mean, 26 points in 22 playoff games is humongous. How many times did we watch the Red Wings and still like have to like get knocked out in the first round, 7 games, and Pavel Datsyuk has a goal and 2 assists, and we're just like, oh, well, he had the tougher defensive matchup, so if, Jack Eichel doesn't also have to play defense at all. Sorry, everybody knows, like, I have my Datsyuk shrines. I love Pavel Datsyuk, but I mean, 26, your highest paid player just led your team in points through the playoffs. It's exactly what you want. I mean, Eichel and Mark Stone, over a point per game in this year's playoffs.
Yeah, but, not over 2 points a game.
Right. Just like everybody else in the playoffs.
I'm trying to be devil's advocate here. I
don't
know.
There's no need. What was that the point that, was it supposed to be like
No,
goals?
It was just, no, I think it was, like overall performance, I guess. Well, I guess you did a successful pushback, Matt. That's fine. We can have pushbacks on this show.
Yeah, decoy. Eichel led the team in scoring in the playoffs, and who had beaten him? I don't even know. Was there anybody else with more points in the, like, not just the Knights, but across the NHL? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, what are we doing? No. Go get yourself a Jack Eichel. God damn it. One thing I remember is,
before we get off that point, Joe Diamond with, to be fair, I think the whole team had 3 assists last night. Yeah, it happens when you get 9 goals.
Yeah, that's true. And Stoney got a hat trick. I thought that was fun. Three attempts at a wide open net, and then that third time he still goes crazy, like that was the overtime winning goal to make it 9-3 or whatever it was at the time. That was fun. I got it for blowouts, and I'm glad that was a home game for blowouts in the Stanley Cup Finals. That was a fun game to watch. I did not turn it off at any point. I like seeing goals. I got to admit, as much as I like when I was, in the 2008, or I guess we could dial it back 2006 to like 2012, and I'm a Red Wings fan, and I'm like, you know what? These 2-1 games, you find a real appreciation for hockey. If you don't like defense and goaltending, I don't think you really like hockey. Like, it was such a dumb sack of shit back then. Like, goals are way more fun, even when it's a blowout, and they're way more fun.
I swear to God, we have a real direction in this episode, but I did want to credit Jared for Eichel looking like Marv from Home Alone.
I saw, I guess Eichel dressed up as a unicorn. That popped up on Twitter. I don't know if somebody was trying to damage his reputation, but I was like, oh wow, he's an ally. I mean, this was like full cross. Like, he wore like a dress, and he even like put a pose on it, and I was like, damn, look at Jack Eichel. Good for him. I don't know if that was photoshopped, but it was freaking funny and cool.
Very erotic. Yeah.
Yeah, very erotic. That's what I meant.
But you did want to start getting into this draft guide a little bit.
Do we
so we
want
can kind
to?
of give, I know we got to hit the break, but let's at least do a tease.
Let's wrap up. Yeah, let's wrap up kind of what we were saying is just like, all right, there's some guys out there. We know Winnipeg is trying to shop people. We've been talking about Debrincat for like a month now. And let's not forget, Ottawa has an owner now. So maybe that Debrincat trade was just waiting for some ownership to come in and speak to management. Well, yeah, I guess I can just say Winnipeg and get a lot of guys that we've talked about out of the way. But yeah, this is more about, I want to hear the Red Wings are involved in these guys. I don't need us to do something stupid, but I think when you talk about building through the draft, and we've said this before, Steve Yzerman says that you've built assets, you have draft picks, you have prospects. Building through the draft means you can also trade these guys and pick up some talent that's ready to go right now. And I love David Perron, but I don't mean David Perron level, and I certainly don't mean Andrew Kopp level. I want somebody that fits in that top 3 group of forwards, and I want them now. Thank you. All right. So Mike, setting up when we come back from our break, we'll go over the Elite Prospects draft guide and get us all set for the draft.
Woo!
Light the lamp during the hockey playoffs with DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can make a $5 bet and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. Who are you guys going to put your money down for? Put your money down for Jack Eichel? Put your money down for Matthew Tkachuk? I don't know. It's up to you. Every time I give advice, it's horrible. But what I can tell you is for you to have fun. The advice I can give is to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code THPN. New customers can make a $5 hockey playoff bet and score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050 or visit gamblinghelpline.ma.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700 on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 and up in eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Oh, yeah.
All right, hey, we're back. Got the draft guide up, so if you're not watching on YouTube, just take notes. Got to listen real good. So I just looked this up on the Elite Prospects draft guide here, and the A grade just means that they're confirming like this is a solid first-round talent. And they also define that across the board for how you're grading all of these different skill sets that these players have. So you brought it up earlier, and what we're talking about here, according to Elite Prospects, these guys that just, eats, I almost said lives, eat, sleep, and breathe.
Yeah, when you're playing
Prospects.
Tears of the Kingdom, they're watching minor league hockey.
Right. 26 guys have that A grade. So you've got two
basically,
picks.
if Yzerman sees this, there's no way he's trading.
Right. So you've got 2 picks that are solid first rounders, and what is it? Pick 16 and pick 9. And then let's not forget too, you could probably jump in, maybe grab that number 26, because you're gonna have oh my god, what is it? 40. Not that these are draft picks we're looking at rankings here, but I need to remember what numbers look like. Apparently, what is it? 41 to 43 or 40 to 42? I can't remember. Any hoozles, 26 guys getting that A grade. You can love Elite Prospects or hate it, but again, I think at least we can land on the point that they watch a lot more hockey than most
of us combined.
Yeah, all of us combined. I like that. I like that one too. I do like this. So there's the point of like, okay, a lot of these guys are good, but what are they good at? It's funny too to look at all the things that Connor Bedard is first on and the things he's not, and you're kind of like, really? He's not? He can't skate a straight line. So best straight line skater, Oliver Moore. There's some potential for the Wings to pick up Oliver. Connor Bedard third on there. I don't really want to go through each one of these and list all 5, but best 4-way mobility, Oliver Moore on there again. So if you're talking about a guy who's going to be moving in all sorts of directions and straight, got a good skater in Oliver Moore.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of the same couple names too that they've been seeing for
right,
like
but
skating and agility. Oh, here we go.
The one we want to land on, right?
Yeah, this is big sexy right here. And for those of you who are not viewing this on YouTube, it is going gold, silver, bronze. It's going Bedard, Fantilli, and Michkov. And then Bradley is at Nadeau, and then Colby Barlow.
Yep. I think it'd be fun to pick up Bradley and Colby. I'm not sure where they're ranking right now, but the point of me kind of landing on this best shot is, of course, to bring up this other trade that was brought up today, which I do like. So the Athletic put out probably what second to last or something of their mock drafts. And I like how they put this in their little article. We have a trade to announce. Just a little Gary Bettman there. Montreal. So Montreal trades the 5th overall pick and the 31st pick to Detroit for picks number 9 and 17. So you got to remember, too, like we were talking about, like, these picks don't really mean jack shit once you get past 2. If you're going by the elite prospects, you're outside of that range of one of those A players, those 26 guys. There could still be a smattering of them available. Of course, the Red Wings aren't going to match 1 for 1 on the elite prospects ranking here. And we don't say that elite prospects are perfect, but there's some food for thought there. Number 9 and number 17 have a higher likelihood to give you an NHL player than the 31st pick. But you get that 5th overall pick, Mike, and you've got an NHL player in 3 years. Now, somebody else made a great point this week. It might have been Max Boltman on the podcast. How many of these guys do we even think past Fantilli, past Bedard are going to be on the team after 1 year? You know, so it's sort of like you're playing that game of like, all right, really, you're only adding like maybe 1 or 2 years at best. 3 years is probably still right on par with the rest of these guys after the 10th pick. So, yeah, maybe you go for it. Maybe you just look at this draft and you're like, all right, well, this draft wasn't going to make our team better this year anyway. So, yeah, Michkov.
I feel like Michkov, there's an outside chance that he just drops to us. Because, I mean, you got to consider that's, 2 years where he's not in your system with your coaches doing the things you want to teach him. Like, he's learning all the Russian habits from his Russian coaches. Not to say that there's no value in that, but, if the Red Wings have this way that they want to, develop talent and develop players, usually want to have a hands-on approach. So it's almost like when I see a trade like this, I feel like the value's gone down a little bit, and like the amount of club control years you get, for what this Debrincat trade is going to end up being. Is it worth it to gamble on Michkov for 2 years of no contact, hoping he comes, over here and he plays really well? Or, Debrincat has already done it, and then you could be sending that draft pick out of his way.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like when people are trying to rank, like even Bedard or Michkov, like you don't necessarily, like we say, like, oh, generational talent in Connor Bedard, but also like maybe he doesn't reach Connor McDavid, and that's still generational, so that puts you kind of in this level where there's a lot of guys that like McDavid's in his own stratosphere, and then there's a bunch of guys like in the next level below that you'd love to have on your team, but aren't necessarily up there. So not to say that those are easy to find, but it definitely changes the conversation, especially when you're moving down to Michkov. And none of these guys are guaranteed. But I will say, and I think there's some chatter here that Michkov possibly could be. Is that Jim throwing out there? Michkov possibly could be lower than 5. Are you saying that he's going to be taken at 4? Is that what that?
Yeah, I don't know if he means if he's going to drop.
Here's what I would throw out there. I don't think he's getting past the Coyotes, and he's definitely not getting past the Washington Capitals, because the Capitals will line up their replacement Russian with the draft of Matvei Michkov, and you just kind of send Ovechkin on his merry little way. Or maybe you have old fart Ovechkin and Michkov, like, give it one last go, Maybe Michkov comes over faster for the Capitals. Maybe there's some way he can get over because he's going to be playing with Ovechkin.
Yeah, Team Kremlin.
I think there is very good chance he goes to the Coyotes if he makes it past the 5th pick, because the Coyotes are also like, who the who the fuck knows what's going on. So yeah, they can wait forever for Michkov. They're gonna blow up their team. Keller's another one of those guys we could trade for. But yeah, they can wait forever for Michkov. Maybe he never comes over if the Coyotes take him, but I for sure think Coyotes and 1,000% not getting past Washington, which of course is the 8th pick right before our pick at number 9. So I will say that. Okay, so Jim was clarifying he may drop is what he meant.
Oh, just real quick, Joe Diamond thrown in there. No one talking about the potential of a contract buyout to get Michkov over here before his KHL contract is over. That has happened quite a few times over the last handful of years. That's untrue. Great. Not untrue. Still a risk, but not untrue. You are correct.
Yeah. Risk involved with all of these decisions, I think. It's where do you want to place the risk? And Mike is saying, let's place the risk on somebody else's shoulders to get these prospects to develop. And we'll take the guy who scored 40 goals twice already in his career. Right? Because I think you kind of looked at this 9th pick and you're like, yeah, okay, let's just get.
If you can have your cake and eat it too, Michkov drops to 9, and then you trade 17 and a couple of those seconds for Debrincat.
Ooh, yeah. Would you just give up? Would you give up all 4 of those picks? Would you give up 17 and 3 second-round picks
for a 40-goal scorer? Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Can that be our hot take of the episode? Yeah, I'd give him a 3rd-round pick too. I don't care. That's what you're aiming for, and you get to and especially those 3 second-round picks. At least 2 years of development. Probably 3. 2 years, and then they're in Grand Rapids.
If it means if I have to give up all 3 seconds and our later round 1st-round pick for Debrincat, and I still get to pick a prospect at number 9, I won. I won the draft, and I won the trade market.
Dan B thrown out there. Don't forget about Bushelnikov, who we've highlighted a couple of times this year. That'll be fun to see what happens there too. Fingers crossed. Just another game, another waiting game. But correct me if I'm wrong there, Dan B. Would that mean we'd have back-to-back? First we'd introduce Bushelnikov, and then the next year would be Michkov? Or is Bushelnikov the year before that? Somebody help me out there. I think they're both a waiting game. I can't remember how long that is. Decoy. Fedorov will deliver Michkov. That would be hilarious. Didn't Fedorov just won another championship over in Russia? And I think he made some comment about why would I ever leave? Which, yeah, it looked like he was flying a very nice private jet when he was making that comment. And I don't know how much his life upgrades coming over here. I'm sure he's treated like a king over there.
Do it for Steve.
Vegas had 1 player under 6 feet tall. Debrincat is 4'9" coming from Decoy. I'll take it. Give me 4'9". Give me 4'8". Okay, give me 3'9". Puts 40 goals in the back of the net, D.
He's from Farmington Hills,
right.
Just like the Basement Burger Bar. So how can we judge this guy negatively?
Right.
Come on.
It's just such a different conversation to be the prospect, he's 5'8". We've seen that a couple of times. It's yeah, right. That's what are we gonna do? But then you see the guy put 40 goals in the back of the net. So
yeah, I mean that it's more of a quantifiable risk when they haven't proven it yet. But if this 4'6" guy is already peppering in 40 goal seasons, he's fine. We're not worried about it. It's when it's the maybe player, it's the prospect that I think you're show a little more concern. But if they've already proven it, I'm good.
I like it.
Oh, Crimson Shadow. I haven't seen you in a minute, bud. How's it going?
Yeah, Crimson Shadow. Any thoughts on Zach Benson from the Winnipeg Ice at number 9? I actually would love that. And we have done an episode featuring Zach before. But what I'd want to call out is what you're getting with Zach Benson. And this is what I was saying before. And this is exactly who I was talking about. So, Crimson, when I sent you that DM earlier today and I said, come to the live show and ask this question, this is how we were going to transition.
He's a
I
plant.
mentioned right. I mentioned before, like, is there something that's going on in these interviews that they've seen where they're like, we're absolutely happy with what we're going to be able to get at number 9. Zach Benson is where he's listed with, best vision right behind. Oh, how about that? How about behind Connor Bedard? Best motor. Tell me that's not a thing that Steve Yzerman is looking for every year in this draft. Zach Benson would be a great get. And I got to say, too, Soap Dish here, Crimson Shadow. I'm reading Soap Dish's comment. Sorry about that, Crimson. And you both have really long names and numbers at the end. Crimson, you asking that question, I don't think there's a draft pick I'm going to be upset about, which is why some of our coverage of this has just been like, and here's another guy we could get, and here's another guy we could get. So there's nobody I'm going to be upset about. The only thing that's going to be disappointing in this draft, and I think this is why we focus so much on trades today, it's just that I want to see something a little bit more aggressive. If we draft all 5 of those picks, I'm just going to be like, all right, what are we doing? Because, and I think it was one of our buddies on Twitter pointed out, like, you draft Michkov and then Dylan Larkin's 30. By the time Michkov comes over. So, like, now, okay, he's hitting the tail end. He's 2 years past the peak at that 28 years old. I'm serious. That's that's the average. That's when the drop starts. You could giggle all you want. Dylan Larkin for sure is going to be that guy that starts to drop. Like, Connor McDavid probably won't. We see Alex Ovechkin just continue to score goals. Dylan Larkin will follow that path. I don't know how terrible of a Red Wings fan I sound like right now. Maybe I'm the worst ever. But Dylan Larkin, I guarantee, will 100% follow that path of taking the dip production-wise after he turns 29. Or after 28. I don't know, however you want to say that. Jim throws out there, Stevie will be aggressive and fleece someone. I want to see what a loss looks like, Like, I want to see Steve bring one player in and lose a ton. Like, what does that look like the first time we see it? And I think it's the difference between, like, is it Albert Johansson or Simon Edvinsson? You know what I mean? Like, which one is he shipping out?
So you mean not lose a trade, but lose a prospect you care about?
No, I mean, like, we're going to look at it from a distance and be like, wow, that was a lot. And I'm just wondering, like, when we hit that point, it's a lot plus we lost Edvinsson, or is it, oh man, that was a lot and we lost Johansson, which I think one is easier to stomach than the other, right? But both could be graded as, yes, they'll be in the NHL. Edvinsson maybe the top 4, Johansson maybe top 6, but you're still trading away future NHL talent, which also has a high ceiling. Johansson's floor is probably a little bit lower than Edvinsson's, but you know what that's where I'm coming from. Like, there was the argument to be made. Like, people thought Calgary for sure won that trade with Florida, even though Tkachuk was moving to Florida. You know what I mean? Like, there was still the question, like, oh man, Vegas takes Eichel and they miss the playoffs the next year. Did they lose this trade? You know what I mean? Like, I want us to get that star player, but I want to know what it looks like when we have to give up so much. So maybe you're right. Maybe I don't mean to say lose, but I want to see what that trade looks like where we're not doing the, hey, we got like 8 draft picks for one guy. Didn't Yzerman do such a great job? And then, now it's 2023 and we're like, yeah, we're awesome now.
Oh, Decoy took the thoughts right out of my mouth, by the way. Emil Viro, Sabrango, William, and Johansson, all expendable. Leave us with Wallander and Edvinsson. Yeah,
but now that you said that, Decoy, they're all watching the show. You just ruined it.
Yeah, Matt's he's kind of hearkening back to there's a writer, God, was it Tom Gage, who used to do the prospect report for the Tigers, and he would write up how great our prospects were, and we would trade them every single trade deadline, for actual major leaguers. But yeah, all you would do is pump up the value of them, and then there's all these published print, like, wow, hope we get this Jacob Turner guy. He sounds pretty good. And then, he's out of baseball in 2 years.
I thought you were going to go the route of, like, the old days, like the Valeni radio show where people would call in and just lop together 10 tigers, and then they, bring over Mariano Rivera. Just give him Brandon Inge and
all the garbage.
yeah.
And Jim Johnson too. I don't think we said his name today, but he's had like 5
Yeah.
really good ones. Teams will want guys like Berggren and Casper in any trade. I think those two and Edvinsson are probably the real untouchables. Like, I think you'd have to be blown away for a Berggren trade. Am I wrong in that?
Who would you rather give up, Berggren or Casper? Do you want to play that game?
Berggren. There's still the mystery that Casper could be like awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah,
There's
you're
still
right.
The mystery there.
You're right. I think you want the mystery over. But we did see Berggren. Like, remember, like, think about, like, that was his first season, right? And he was still, like, on the power play. You park him on the side of the net. He knows exactly where the puck's going to go. Well, actually, you know what? Did we ever say it, Crimson? Yes, we would like Benson. We just, Crimson thrown out there. Benson and Raymond would be a dangerous combo. Well, we also have to lock up Mazer and Razor, right?
Yeah.
Some excitement this year is still coming for some of our prospects. We got Carter Mazer. I think we're all excited about.
See, Dan B thrown in there too. I know you have to give up talent in any trade, but oh man, I'd be reluctant to move Berggren. I would. I think you'd have to be pretty impressed with the return, right? Because I feel like he's one of our top prospect guys, but he's not Casper, and I don't think he's Edvinsson. I think he's right. He's like one little mini tier down. Still very valuable, but
I don't think
if I'm making a trade and I'm still keeping Casper and Edvinsson and my boy Soderblom, the human ent, those guys are still Red Wings after the trade. I feel pretty good.
I would get rid of Soderblom and treat him like, hey, look what Tage Thompson just did. Do you want?
Man, how dare you? How dare you, sir?
On your team?
Man, he's friend of the show. How could you?
Like, well, then, like, if anybody's like, I don't know, he didn't do that great. Like, number one, Mike, you and I both know his analytics through the roof. He actually ended the season, remember, as our analytics champion. So you could throw that out there. Shit, I forgot what my joke was going to be. Oh, well, I'm not the funny guy on the show anyway. It probably wouldn't have been that funny. Anybody on Decoy's list of Vero, Sabrango, Buyum, or Johansson that you think anybody is sniffing around for? Because I'm gonna say probably not. And I think, like, Decoy throws out there, leave us with Wallander and Edvinsson. I think, right, like, that's who you're losing, and then you got to cross your fingers that Vero and Sabrango and Buyum and Johansson are gonna fill out your bottom pairing somehow.
Yeah, I mean, what was that? Forgive me. It was Alex Tuck. That was a pretty touted guy. So but he, definitely panned out. So I mean, you'd have to trade the Red Wings Tuck for a ready now player. But then you just end up winning a Stanley Cup out of it. So
there was a question here. Oh, again from Crimson. Wondering if Kosa's coming back to the Griffins or staying in Toledo next year. I think Kosa's going to come right with his good buddy Dan Watson, who just got hired today, the head coach of the Grand Rapids Griffins now. And Lalone threw out there in a little quote. So yeah, I guess I don't know. We could have led the show with this. I had a great pleasure of working with Dan for 2 seasons in Toledo. He's an incredibly hard worker who gets results. His personality and ability to connect with his players helps build a tremendous team culture. I'm really looking forward to working closely with him again. Congratulations, Waddy. The end part was terrible. Sorry. It just got worse.
I couldn't see your mouth. I didn't know if you hit play on a Pat Caputo read or something.
Listen here, Mike. It's Pat Caputo here to talk about Dan Watson getting hired by the Griffins. Just another nobody from the ECHL who done nothing. Sorry. Jared, what in the hell is this impression?
No, it's
yeah, Dan agreeing Kosa's going to be in GR next season. I just want to throw that in there because I knew that happened today. It's a little bit of news, but just to answer Crimson's question, I do think Kosa will be in Grand Rapids. Jim throwing out there. Jim. See, you're doing it. Stop it. Nobody wants Zadina or Veleno. You're like, yeah, of course. I have no problem. They're super expendable, but you got to get rid of.
That's
You got to get rid of somebody.
Jim, have you ever heard that dad joke where it's like, oh, the Red Wings traded Zadina and Veleno. Oh, good trade. Who'd we get? Our dad used to pull that one all the time. Crimson, my dude wouldn't trade Soderblom. Me neither. Dude's upside and potential and height is way too high, and he's a unicorn.
Way too high of a height.
I really want to see how that guy pans out. It's going to be awesome.
I'm trying to look, now that we're going, I'm looking at the elite prospects thing. If there's anything else that's
besides
sort of something we want to keep an eye on. I do want to come.
The viewers and listeners who were like, Mike is crazy. Why are you trading first-round picks, especially for Debrincat, who's small? It looks like he needs, other good players around him to succeed. This elite prospects breakdown is probably your best defense in my face. Just because it does make the case that there's so many good to very good prospects in this draft. Like 1 to 26, that's a crazy number, man. Not saying they're, 26, McJesuses,
right.
but no, that you're going to get something good. And it might be a draft a little bit like what Decoy was alluding to, so getting depth at, guys at pick 9 and pick 17. So it's not a complete death blow for us to have not won this lottery. That we could still find some real good dudes.
Yeah,
it's just a patience game.
God damn it! Every time you stop talking,
I just like cutting you off, man.
If there's one list too that I would pay attention to, and I forgot to bring this one up, it's the best two-way forwards. Obviously, we're not going to grab Adam Fantilli, but I think you land a pretty good pick 9 with Zach Benson, Oliver Moore, or Dalibor Dvorsky. I will add, Mike traded for Dalibor Dvorsky in the video game, worked out pretty well. And then we did talk about picking up. Okay. We did talk about bringing in Gavin at. I think at the time we said pick 17, but now it's pick 16.
Gavin, he looks like one of those Jonas brothers. He's probably gonna pan out, right?
Yeah, he'll be great. Dvorsky listed on the best power forward too.
Oh, here's all the Detroit fans. No, they want to see who's a hard hitter. We need more grit on this team.
I have never seen more like Tom Wilson chatter on Twitter than today. I don't know what the hell is going on, but everybody thinks the Red Wings are trading for Tom Wilson, which we did talk about. I kind of hate the guy, so I don't know if I really want him on my team. But yeah, now all of a sudden that's a big trend. Like, oh, we need to get tough. Oh man, we're at an hour. Man, I keep promising we're going to do like these half-hour episodes, but I appreciate all of you guys chatting in the comments.
We had too much fun engagement today. Yeah.
Fethdar. Yes, the old reliable EA Sports scouting system. Mike, I don't know if you remember this, but like a couple years ago, before we drafted Lucas Raymond, I simulated the season, the franchise mode, like 40 times, and then like looked at like who had the most points and who won cups and things like that, and it was Lucas Raymond. Yeah,
I dig it.
So we'll see how that works out.
I did have a few in here too. Jim Johnson, he's on my side with Debrincat for 17. Yeah, that's Jim. I'm calling that the having your cake and eat it too. If you get to keep 9 and then still trade for Debrincat, boy, is that a home run. He had one more in there.
Oh, shoot. And Joe's in there. Would love to get Tom Wilson. I'm sorry, Joe. I just don't know where this came from. All of a sudden, it's all over the place.
Jim had one. Would you go after Lafreniere? I think that's maybe just some like talking head pundits who don't have enough topics where they're saying like, oh, they're ready to give up on Lafreniere. He's a bust. And it's like, nah, it's probably just going to take a couple years. But Jim, if he was available, hell yeah, I'd go after him. It's way too early to give up on him.
Would you do a second?
Would you do Lucas Raymond for Lafreniere, straight up.
Yeah, still. Absolutely. No, right. What's the game? What's the game that we play here? Like, what if it had to be like an Albert Johansson and a second round pick? We don't know what Albert's going to be. By all accounts, like, we've filled out the left side of the defense pretty well, and we've still got a Wallander that needs to fit in somewhere. So,
wait, what was your trade proposal?
what you do is one of your second round picks this year, and you have to give him Albert
for
Lafreniere.
Rangers say no.
You think so?
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, if they're you think they're looking for a first round pick in return? Because then we're not doing that.
But if you're doing like 17 and it can't be just 17. It's got to be somebody who's already playing at the NHL level. Give me God damn it. Man.
Give him here, we'll do that. Give him Zadina, Robbie Fabry, and Joe Veleno. They can have a whole fourth line.
Yeah, we'll give you our fourth liners for your fourth liner. We'll do if it's Veleno, a 17 and some seconds. I think the Rangers still say no. You'd have to give up a sexier prospect, I think, in a first rounder. Like mid first, it would be 17 and somebody you like.
Oh, I do like Albert. Should I pretend I don't like him?
It would have to be like, for me, it would have to be like Soderblom.
No, you're right. You're right.
It would have to be like Soderblom in 17.
All right. Well, I'm running out of steam. I'm getting sleepy. My son got pink eye today, so I had to try and work and watch him all day. So I had a rough day.
At least you only had to watch one eye. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, then he's more apt to like fall down the stairs and stuff because he's lost his depth perception. All right. Jared threw something in there. Rangers have a new coach. Laff has at least a year. I right-clicked. A year to right himself before New York makes that kind of trade. Oh, Crimson. I'll take Phil Kessel on the stories. Jared, slap yourself, Mike. Wash your hands. All right, Mike, you slapped yourself. Now you got to wash your hands. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. This has been fun. We got one more episode, and then we'll see you guys at the draft party. We hope you'll see you there. Hope to see you there.
Yes. Wash your hands. Hope to see you guys next week. And I just want you guys to know, 2 weeks. Just wanted you guys to know that we're going to make this a 25-minute episode, but you guys made it so fun. We're here for minute 62. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, hit that like button so other people can you could show off how smart we all are, and how much fun we have.
Or we can just get Jared's comedy career off the ground because he was doing pretty good.
Joe wants me to stop farting in my kids' pillows. I can't. It's so much fun. Rip a big steamer right in the middle of it, and then.
Don't like what I cook for dinner, huh?
Fethtar, draft party, ? Yeah, 2 weeks. We'll see you there, Fethtar.
Downtown.
That's right. LCA. What is it? 6 o'clock maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll be downtown starting at 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Because I'll be there for work. All right. We'll see you guys.